The window opened on September 17th and Kael saw it the way he saw most things that mattered, not as hope, but as geometry. The southern pool data had been incoherent for 36 hours. Demon elements holding, withdrawing, advancing on superseded orders. Vethera's dominance claim rejected by 3 lords formally and 2 more by silence. The peace faction, Lord Keth's domain, the populations and commanders who had never wanted this war, was moving in the gaps between Vethera's fragmented commands, not as a military force, but as a political one. Documenting. Refusing orders. Withdrawing units from unified assault positions when local commanders could be convinced the orders were unauthorized. The window was narrow because windows like this always were. If Vethera consolidated, if she killed the political opposition fast enough, or if a new emperor was chosen who favored her domain's aggression, the peace factions movement would become treason instead of politics. If the order redirected demon chaos toward a new equilibrium under their preferred lord, the clearing mechanism would adapt and the opportunity would close. He read Veth's latest packet at the 4th hour and thought, now. Not in 6 days when the Noble Council reconvened. Not when the appointment mapping reached 70%. Not when the mechanism question was answered. Now, while the Demon Council had no emperor, no binding authority, and a peace faction that could still act without being crushed. He wrote the message at the secondary table in the command post's main room. 3 lines in the Koval channels coded commercial format. The window is open. Can your faction move now? Not in weeks. Now. I need an answer before the next cycle turns. He routed it through the faster path. Seraphine was at the main table with the reconvening packet, evidence grades, source protection layers, the church distinction framing she had been building for 3 years without knowing it was preparation for this specific presentation. She looked up when the courier left. She said, Beth. He said, yes. She said, before the reconvening. He said, yes. She was quiet for a moment. Not objection, assessment. If the Southern Front closes through negotiation, the reconvening argument changes. We stop defending against collapse and start presenting evidence from a position of demonstrated stability. He said, yes. She said, the order coordinated the Southern assault to justify the Northern monitoring force. If the South closes before they can use the collapse, he said, the political trap fails. She said, partially. She returned to the packet. Partially is better than not at all. Gareth came in from the infirmary corridor at the 6th hour, walking without assistance, which the healer had approved and Gareth treated as a permanent condition rather than a concession. He read the sent message over Kael's shoulder without asking permission, a privilege earned over 9 years. He said, Vethera won't let the faction move unchallenged. Kael said, no. Gareth said, you'll need something binding on the human side. Not your authority. Someone the demons recognize as speaking for more than a frontier baron's tactical necessity. Kael looked at Seraphine. She said, house boss. He said, yes. Gareth said, and you'll need a reason the peace faction trusts you won't use a ceasefire to reposition for an attack. Kael said, the prisoners. Gareth looked at him. The 2 in the secondary stable. Kael said, Arc 5. Still there. Aldous has been visiting twice a week. They're documented, healthy, and they've been waiting longer than any negotiation protocol should require. He paused. Release says good faith. Recorded. The peace faction gets a public demonstration that we negotiate in facts, not in leverage alone. Seraphine said, the reconvening is 7 days. Kael said, the window is 48 hours. She said, then we work in parallel. Veth's response arrived at the 9th hour. The translation was characteristically precise. The faction can move. Not quickly enough for your impatience, but quickly enough for the window. We need a human representative with authority to make a binding offer at the seal meeting point. Your frontier command authority is real and insufficient. The demons will not accept a child's emergency interpretation of a charter clause as continental diplomacy. We need someone the council remnants will recognize. Someone with noble house standing independent of the crown's current faction. Send who you have. We will meet under white banner. 11 hours maximum before Vethera's elements identify the meeting and move to disrupt it. The channel remains open. In that order. Kael read it twice. He said, 48 hours. Seraphine said, who? He said, you. She did not look surprised. She looked at the reconvening packet, then at him, with the specific quality of someone who had already run the analysis and arrived at the same conclusion. She said, House boss. Independent of the crown since the year 11 presentation. He said, yes. She said, the legal authority for frontier demon negotiations under the emergency charter. He said, is real on my side and tenuous on paper. I'm constructing the argument now. She said, construct it fast. He said, yes. Outside, the southern corridor's fragmented signatures moved in directions that no longer reinforced each other. Somewhere in the chaos, the peace faction was holding position and waiting for a human answer. The window was open. It would not stay open. He began the argument. The response from the capital did not arrive. That was itself information. A crown-directive countermanding frontier charter authority would have come by fast courier within hours if the king's office had been prepared to issue one immediately. The silence meant the crown was assessing, or the order was assessing on the crown's behalf, whether a public countermand during an active demon political crisis would produce more damage than a private objection entered later. Kael used the silence. He sent Aldenvane the Southern Disposition update and the Charter Authority filing with a single line, negotiation in progress. Request compact record entry prepared. He sent Qasim the Harith liaison notification that human-demon talks were underway under White Banner, which gave the Sultanate political cover to hold the Eastern Vector without interpreting the talks as Ashford acting alone. He sent Fair the Commission notification that cross-border negotiation was occurring under Incursion Period Charter Authority, which placed the outcome inside the investigation's jurisdictional frame whether the talks succeeded or failed. Each message went through a different channel. None appeared connected in any capital administrative log. Seraphine spent the afternoon with the honor guard captain, a house boss man named Calder, 42, who had served her family for 11 years and who did not ask why he was riding toward demon territory under a white banner. He asked about formation, timing, and withdrawal signals. She answered with the same precision she used for noble council procedure. Kael watched her through the window of the command post and thought about the pavilion geometry. 400 meters from the ridge to the table, 2,000 meters of ambient coverage. 2 disruption windows Veth had warned about and a third Kael had added from his own assessment of Vethra's fragmented command structure. He thought about the prisoners in the secondary stable, who had been waiting since Arc 5 for a protocol that did not exist until someone built one. He thought about Gareth in the infirmary, who could not cover the relay or the ridge, but had read the charter argument and said send who you have without adding that he could not be there himself. The window was open. He would not waste it on hesitation. The pool data at the 11th hour showed the western breaches holding elements receiving contradictory orders, 3 and 6 hours, each from a different authority signature. Vethra's command was fragmenting in real time. The peace faction's political moves were visible only in the absences. Units that should have advanced and did not, logistics coordinators who should have responded and went silent. Kael wrote the window's closing estimate in the margin, 40 hours before Vethra consolidated a countermove or a new emperor candidate emerged with enough authority to rebind the council. 40 hours was not enough time for the noble council reconvening. It was enough time for a pavilion agreement. He sent the estimate to Seraphine without commentary. She read it and said, tomorrow. He said, yes. The command post settled into the specific quiet of a place preparing for something that could not be repeated if it failed. He returned to the charter argument's final page and signed it. The emergency charter argument took 6 hours to build and 3 pages to state. Kael wrote it in the specific language of someone who had spent 9 years learning which legal instruments could bear weight and which would collapse under scrutiny. The foundation was not invented. It was assembled from provisions that already existed and had been waiting for someone patient enough to find them. The kingdom's frontier emergency charter, enacted after the last major demon incursion, 70 years prior, granted the senior frontier military command temporary authority over all matters directly affecting frontier security during declared incursion periods. The incursion period had never been formally ended after Arc 5's major assault. The Commission's case had documented ongoing coordinated demon military activity. The Southern Assault of September 3rd had activated every clause the Charter's drafters had written for exactly this category of threat. Matters directly affecting frontier security included demon force disposition, border seal integrity, cross-border negotiation when military action was the alternative, and the release or exchange of prisoners held as a consequence of incursion period hostilities. Kael did not have legal authority to negotiate with demons on behalf of Valdris. He had necessity, a charter clause, a commission case that established the incursion period's continuity, and the practical reality that no one in the capital had time to stop him before the window closed. He wrote the final paragraph. The Frontier Command will exercise charter authority until formally countermanded by Noble Council action or Crown directive. Any countermand delivered after the negotiation's completion will be complied with prospectively and documented as such. The command does not claim permanent diplomatic authority. It claims 48 hours of necessity. He showed it to Seraphine at the second hour past midnight. She read it completely. She said, Davin Crest will challenge the incursion period continuity. He said, yes. She said, the commission case establishes it. Vare's office filed the extension. The Southern Assault is documented in the pool data record. He said, yes. She said, the Crown will issue a countermand within hours of learning what we've done. He said, probably. She said, you're using the charter until someone stops you. He said, yes. She said, no one has time to stop you. He said, that's the argument. She signed the document, not as royal envoy, as Lady Seraphine Voss, noble council member with standing. House Vossa's independent authority over its diplomatic engagements when Crown directive conflicts with documented frontier security necessity. The signature was a political act as much as a legal one. She had been building toward it since year 11. Gareth read the document at dawn without comment, then said, Vethera will try to kill the meeting. Kael said, yes. Gareth said, you'll need the eye on the meeting point and everything in a radius that could reach it in 11 hours. Kael said, 2,000 meters. Gareth looked at him. You'll see everything. Kael said, yes. Gareth was quiet. I can't cover the relay if you're extended on a negotiation point. Kael said, Captain Marin has the relay. Qasim holds the eastern vector with what the Sultanate has left. The meeting is the priority. Gareth said, the prisoners. Kael said, prepared for release. Aldous will ride with the honor guard to translate the formal statement. The demons get the offer in their language before they get it in ours. Seraphine said, when? Kael said, tomorrow. Third hour. The seal meeting structure on the Keth border approach, the stone pavilion the compact surveyed in year 10, neutral ground by convention even if no treaty formalized it. She said, honor guard. He said, 6. House Voss colors. White banner. No compact military insignia. This is diplomatic, not military. She said, and you? He said, within sovereigns I range at all times. I will know everything that happens to you. She was quiet for a moment. She said, alone from their perspective. He said, never alone from yours. The sentence left the room and settled in the space between them with a weight he did not examine. She said, the reconvening packet travels with me. If the negotiation fails, I ride directly to the capital. If it succeeds, I ride to the capital with a southern ceasefire in the record. He said, yes. She said, parallel. He said, yes. He filed the charter argument in 3 repositories, the Compact's formal record, Commissioner Vare's frontier office, and the Wartime Advisory Council's preliminary channel, which meant Kaelin's filing structure would receive it without the Crown's administrative filter. No one had countermanded him by the 3rd hour. He noted that and prepared the meeting. The necessity argument was tenuous on paper. On the ground, it was the only thing that could close the southern front before the order turned chaos into justification. He would use it until someone stopped him. No one had time to stop him. He spent the afternoon on the pavilion logistics. The northern ridge outcrop had been surveyed in year 10 during a compact border inspection, line of sight to the stone table, elevation advantage, a single approach path that could be watched without being obvious. He positioned 2 compact scouts there at the first hour, not for combat, for signal relay. If the eye detected a gold-equivalent signature moving faster than the disruption estimate, the Ridge code would reach Seraphine's honor guard before the disruptors reached the pavilion. Aldous spent 3 hours with the prisoners preparing the formal release statement in demon trade language and in the Ash domain dialect the prisoners actually spoke. The difference mattered. Trade language was negotiation protocol. Dialect was recognition that they were people, not assets. Calder drilled the honor guard on withdrawal formation, north-northwest through the tree line, Seraphine at center, banner down at the first code signal. No engagement unless engagement was unavoidable to protect the envoy. The guard were House Boss men. They understood protecting the envoy. They did not understand demon negotiation. Calder did not pretend they did. He gave them signals and positions and the specific order that mattered most. When Lady Voss does not withdraw, you do not withdraw first. Kael reviewed the offer terms one final time at dusk. Withdrawal within 10 days. Peace faction political opposition to Vethra's remaining elements. Recorded recognition of peace faction territorial autonomy, not crown binding, compact and commission record. Prisoner release. Mutual notification protocol through Kael channel. He showed the final document to Seraphine. She read it in the lamplight. She said, "Veth will ask for something we haven't written." He said, "Yes." She said, "I'll listen." He said, "Yes." She said, "And if the ask is something we can give without compromising the reconvening?" He said, "Give it." She said, "And if it isn't?" He said, "Table it for the Kael channel. Do not break the white banner for a secondary term." She folded the document into her case. At the second hour past midnight, he rode to the northern ridge. The pavilion was empty in the moonlight. The border seal's pressure was a constant low hum at the edge of perception. He extended the eye and waited for dawn. The necessity argument was tenuous on paper. On the ground, it was the only bridge across a war the Order had designed to have no bridges. Seraphine reviewed the honor guard roster at the 10th hour, 6 men, all House Voss, all with the specific quality of soldiers who understood they were not going to win a fight against demon champions and were going anyway because the envoy was worth protecting. Calder said, "Withdrawal signal." Kael said, 3 short, 1 long from the northern ridge. If you hear it, north-northwest through the tree line. Lady Voss does not withdraw until the signal is given or the agreement is sealed. Calder said, "And if she doesn't withdraw when the signal is given?" Seraphine said, "Then I have assessed the signal as premature. You withdraw. I follow." Calder did not look comfortable with this. He looked professional. Kael said, "The signal will not be premature." He meant it. He extended the eye one final time before dawn, 2,000 meters, the pavilion empty, the approach is clear, the border seals pressure steady. Tomorrow. He told her the planet dawn on September 18th. Not because she had not already inferred it, she had, at the 9th hour when Veth's response arrived. Because plans that killed people if they failed required the full version spoken aloud, in order, with no assumptions about what the other person had filled incorrectly. They stood at the command post map. The seal meeting point was marked in white, the stone pavilion on the Keth border approach, 12 miles south of the central relay's secondary perimeter, neutral by convention. Visible from 3 ridges and enclosed on the 4th side by the border seal's ambient pressure, which made unauthorized aura use uncomfortable in a way both sides had learned to use as implicit security. She said, 6 honor guard. He said, 6. House Voss colors. White banner. Armed but not aggressive, ceremonial weight, not military threat. She said, Veth. He said, champion of the peace faction. Gold equivalent. He will not come alone, 2 Keth domain fighters, visible at the perimeter. Standard demon negotiation protocol, the champion at the table, the force at the edge. She said, Vethra's disruption window. He said, 11 hours from white banner raised. Veth's estimate. I think it's conservative. She has fragmented command, not no command. Elements could move faster if a local commander decides disruption serves their position. She said, your eye. He said, 2,000 meters ambient. Focused on the pavilion and every approach vector. I will be on the northern ridge, the one we surveyed in year 10, stone outcrop, 400 meters from the pavilion, line of sight clear. He paused. You will not see me. You will be within range. She said, the offer. He said, 3 components. First, peace faction withdrawal of all demon forces from human territory within 10 days, documented, phased, with pooled data verification on our side and Veth's faction verification on theirs. Second, peace faction political opposition to Vethera's remaining incursion elements, cutting supply and reinforcement through Demon Council channels, which are fragmented enough right now to be influenceable. Third, recorded recognition of peace faction territorial autonomy, not binding on the kingdom permanently, but entered in the compact's formal record and the commission case as a diplomatic fact, creating precedent the reconvening can reference. She said, the price. He said, release of the 2 prisoners from Arc 5. Healthy, documented, translated formal statement of condition before release. Aldous rides with your guard. She said, the Charter Authority. He said, my signature on the military components. Yours on the diplomatic recognition. House Boss independent standing. We enter it as Joint Frontier Authority under Emergency Charter, not as Crown representatives. She looked at the map for a long moment. She said, you want me to go alone into demon territory under a ceasefire flag? He said, I want the representative to be someone with clear political status. My frontier authority is real and legally tenuous. You are the only person on this side of the border seal who carries noble house standing independent of Aldrich II's faction, and who the peace faction will accept as speaking for more than tactical necessity. She said, and if Vethera's elements reach the pavilion before the agreement is sealed. He said, you withdraw north at the first signature break in the ice perimeter. The Honor Guard is not there to fight a gold equivalent force. They are there to demonstrate that House Boss treats its envoys as worth protecting. She said, you'll know before I do. He said, yes. She was quiet. She said, the reconvening is 6 days. He said, yes. She said, if this works, I ride to the capital with a southern ceasefire in the record and the order's 2 front trap broken on one side. He said, yes. She said, if it fails, I ride to the capital anyway and we present without it. He said, yes. She picked up her document case, the reconvening packet inside, the charter argument copied, the House Boss seal ready. She said, I'll need the ridge time confirmed. He said, I'll be in position before you raise the banner. She said, good. She left to prepare the honor guard. He went to the secondary stable. The 2 prisoners from Arc 5 were in the condition Aldous had documented for 8 months, alive, healthy, confined not as punishment, but as holding the Frontier's practical answer to a question no protocol had existed for. They were ash-gray ash domain demons, Vethera's domain coloring, young by demon reckoning, wary in the specific way of people who had been told one story about their targets and learned another in captivity. Aldous was there for the morning visit. Kael said, there may be a release. Aldous said, the negotiation. Kael said, yes. Aldous looked at the prisoners. He said something in demon trade language, short, factual. One of the prisoners answered. Aldous nodded. He said to Kael, they've known this was possible since the 3rd month. They didn't believe it until the 6th. Kael said, prepare the formal condition statement. If the negotiation seals, they go with the honor guard to the pavilion and return through the seal with Seraphine's party. Aldous said, and if it doesn't seal? Kael said, they stay here. Nothing changes for them until something changes. He went to the northern ridge at the 2nd hour. The pavilion was empty. The border seal's pressure was present, the specific quality of air that meant the anchors were functioning, the chain holding, the gap Barin had created long since repaired. Seraphine's party appeared at the 4th hour, 6 honor guard, white banner, Seraphine on a horse that did not fidget, which was a form of discipline he recognized. He extended the Sovereign's eye. 2,000 meters ambient. The pavilion at the center. Every approach vector mapped. Seraphine's position a fixed point he did not allow to blur. She raised the white banner. On the southern side of the pavilion, a spear was planted. Veth. The negotiation was about to begin. He watched. The first 4 hours were protocol and positioning. Aldous translated the formal introductions. Veth spoke in trade language with the occasional demon frequency word that made the honor guard's horses nervous, not threat, just biology responding to sound humans were not built to hear. Seraphine answered in the same register she used for noble council procedure, complete sentences, no filler, every word placed. Kael read spatial intent, not words. Veth's posture said, I am here because my faction needs this more than my pride does. Seraphine said, I am here because the alternative is worse, and I am not afraid of you. That was the correct foundation. At hour 3, Veth named his addition before Seraphine could finish the third offer component, mutual notification through Koval channel. She listened. She accepted. She did not look toward the northern ridge. Kael noted that she had known the addition was coming. She had left room for it in the document's margin spacing. At hour 5, the first disruption signature appeared on the western approach, 4 fighters, gold equivalent, Vethera's ash domain coloring visible even at distance. Kael sent the ridge code. Seraphine did not move. Veth's perimeter fighters repositioned. The disruptors halted, assessed, withdrew. The negotiation did not pause. At hour 7, Veth asked about the prisoner's condition. Not as leverage as verification. Aldous answered with the documentation, health records, visit logs, the 8 months of twice-weekly translator visits. Veth listened. One of the perimeter fighters shifted posture, the demon equivalent of surprise. At hour 9, the eastern disruption came larger. 8 fighters. Silver equivalent commander. Seraphine's honor guard tightened formation. Seraphine did not tighten hers. She continued the sentence she was speaking as if the eastern tree line were not moving. Veth spoke to the eastern disruptors in demon language. They stopped. Kael's hands were steady on the ridge stone. His attention was not. At hour 11, the seal gesture. The signatures. The documents. The Southern Ceasefire was born under a white banner on a morning when the Order's Southern Assault had been designed to make white banners impossible. He rode down to meet her party at the northern approach. The work was not finished. But the window had not closed and used. Seraphine rode to the border seal meeting point with a 6-member honor guard and no hesitation visible in her posture. Kael had learned, over 3 years of working beside her, to read the difference between composure and performance. Performance had a quality of attention directed outward, managing the appearance of calm. Composure had a quality of attention directed inward, choosing calm because the alternative was not useful. She was composed. Her hands on the reins were steady. Her back was straight. Her face was the face she used for noble council sessions where the stakes were existential and the room was watching for any sign of uncertainty. He watched from the northern ridge outcrop, 400 meters from the pavilion. The Sovereign's eye extended to its full 2,000-meter ambient radius. He saw everything. He saw Seraphine's party arrive at the pavilion's northern edge and halt at the correct ceremonial distance, 12 paces from the stone table, the white banner held by the senior guard at the Anglehouse boss protocol specified for ceasefire approach. He saw Veth emerge from the southern tree line with 2 Keth domain fighters at the perimeter, gold-red skin in the autumn light, the champion's posture not aggressive but absolute. The way a person stood when they intended to be taken seriously by species who had been trying to kill them for centuries. He saw the spatial intent signatures before the bodies moved, Veth's forward orientation, the honor guard's micro-adjustments, the 2 perimeter fighters scanning pattern. 2 seconds of advanced perception on every commitment. Diamond's gift. Battlefield omniscience applied to a negotiation table. He did not think of it as a gift. He thought of it as the reason she would not die today without him knowing in time. Veth approached the table. Seraphine dismounted. They did not touch. Demon and human diplomacy had protocols older than Valdris Kingdom, and the protocols did not include handshakes. Aldous stepped forward from the honor guard's second rank and spoke in demon trade language. The formal introduction. House Voss. Frontier Emergency Charter Authority. White Banner. Ceasefire request for 11 hours. Veth answered in the same language. Kael could not hear the words at 400 meters. He could read the spatial intent. No deception signature in Veth's posture. No trap geometry in the perimeter fighters' positions. Seraphine sat at the stone table. Veth sat across from her. The negotiation began. He had watched Seraphine in rooms before. Noble Council sessions. Commission hearings. The Year 11 presentation that had burned her capital position. He had watched her work with the specific precision he admired because it was the same species of precision he used, structural, complete, calibrated to the audience's internal dynamics before the audience knew it was being calibrated. He had never watched her ride toward a demon champion to negotiate what could be a continental turning point. The difference was not in her competence. Her competence was constant. The difference was in what his attention did when she crossed the pavilion's neutral ground. The specific way the eye's fixed point on her position became not a tactical coordinate, but the center of the 2,000-meter radius. The way every approach vector was assessed first by whether it threatened her, and second by whether it threatened the negotiation. He had stopped thinking about this as a partnership. He had started thinking about her specifically. He filed the realization where he filed things he was not examining and returned his attention to the perimeter. At hour 2, a spatial intent signature on the western approach, fast, gold equivalent, not Veth's faction pattern. Vethera's element. For fighters, moving to disrupt. He sent the signal through the compact's ridge code, 3 short, 1 long, that Seraphine's honor guard knew meant withdraw north, do not engage. Seraphine did not move. She continued speaking to Veth without breaking the sentence she was in the middle of. Veth said something to his perimeter fighters. They moved, not toward the western approach, but to a position that blocked the line of sight between the disruptors and the pavilion without crossing the neutral ground. Demon politics. The peace faction protecting a negotiation they needed more than they needed to win a skirmish. The disruptors halted at the edge of the eye's range. Assessed. Withdrew. Seraphine's sentence ended. Veth answered. Kael breathed. At hour 4, the prisoner release terms were stated. Aldous translated the formal condition documentation. Veth listened. The perimeter fighter's posture shifted, the specific quality of attention that meant the terms were being relayed to someone in the tree line who had authority to care about prisoners. At hour 6, Vethera's second disruption attempt came from the east, larger, 8 fighters, a silver equivalent commander who did not have the patience of the Western element. The honor guard's captain looked at Seraphine. Seraphine did not look at the captain. She looked at Veth and said, in trade language Kael could not hear but could read from her posture, continue. Veth's champion authority showed in hour 6 the way Gareth's combat economy had shown in the Orlan farmyard 9 years ago, not dramatic, not visible at aura scale, simply the correct application of exactly what was required. He spoke to the Eastern disruptors in demon language that carried a frequency humans could not produce. They stopped. The negotiation continued. At hour 9, Kael understood that he had been holding the eye's focus on her position for 11 hours with a maintenance effort that would have exhausted a standard diamond practitioner 6 hours ago. The Sovereign Core did not tire the way standard cores tired. It reorganized. It found efficiency in the relationship between attention and intention. He did not think about that. He thought about the Western approach, the Eastern approach, the Southern tree line, the Northern ridge behind him, and Seraphine at the center. At hour 11, Veth extended his hand, not for a handshake, for the demon formal seal gesture, palm open, upward, a offer of completed terms. Seraphine placed her document on the table. She signed. She extended her hand in the human equivalent, open palm, document between them, House Boss seal visible. Veth signed. The Southern Ceasefire was born. Kael lowered the eye's focus and sat on the ridge stone and breathed. She was alive. The negotiation was sealed. He did not examine what the 11 hours had cost him to hold, or what the center of the radius had become. He rode down to meet her party at the northern approach. She was composed. Her hands were steady. Her eyes met his for one moment, not gratitude, not relief, something that did not have a name they used. She said, 11 hours. He said, yes. She said, 2 disruption attempts. He said, I know. She said, good. They rode north together. The southern front would close within 10 days. He filed the realization again. The work was not finished. In the command posts that evening, they spread the signed agreement and verified the implementation timeline. 10 days for withdrawal. Pooled data verification on the human side. Veth's faction verification on the demon side. Peace faction political opposition to Vethera's remaining elements, the part that could not be guaranteed in writing because Demon Council politics did not accept guarantees from human signatures. Seraphine said, the mutual notification protocol. He said, Kael channel. Already active. She said, Veth trusted it. He said, Veth trusts verified behavior over stated intention. We've been using the channel for a year. She said, the prisoners. He said, release on day 4 if implementation holds through day 3. Aldous has the schedule. Gareth came in at the 9th hour. He read the agreement without sitting. He said, Vethera's remaining elements. Kael said, will not withdraw because we signed. Will withdraw because the peace faction cuts their supply. Gareth said, how long? Kael said, 10 days if the faction holds. Longer if Vethera consolidates a countermove. Gareth said, the reconvening. Seraphine said, 6 days. I leave on day 8 if implementation is on track. Gareth looked at her. You rode to a demon champion and signed a continental ceasefire. The reconvening argument changed. She said, yes. He said, good. He left. Kael and Seraphine worked at the main table until midnight. Implementation schedule, pooled data verification protocol, Kasim liaison update, compact record entry. The Trust Arc stage, story Bible's word for what was happening between them without naming it, lived in the work. In the 11 hours on the ridge. In the ride north together. In the absence of any sentence that would have made it smaller by being spoken. He filed that observation and continued the schedule. The Southern Front would close within 10 days. He had held the eye on her for 11 hours. He did not examine what that meant. He would have to live with it regardless. The Southern ceasefire took 11 hours to negotiate and 10 days to implement. The agreement, entered in the compact's formal record and copied to Commissioner Vare's office within 6 hours of the pavilion signatures, contained the 3 components Kael had specified and one addition Veth had insisted upon. A mutual notification protocol for any demon force movement within 20 miles of the border seal, routed through the Kael channel rather than through either government's formal diplomatic apparatus, because neither government currently had diplomatic apparatus that was not compromised. Seraphine had accepted the addition without consulting Kael. She had authority at the table, and the addition was sound. The implementation was messier than the negotiation. Vethera's remaining incursion elements did not withdraw because the human-demon pavilion agreement told them to. They withdrew because the peace faction's political opposition cut their supply lines through Demon Council channels that were fragmented enough to be influenceable, exactly as Kael had predicted. Exactly as Veth had promised, with the dry qualification that promises in demon politics were only as good as the faction making them. The Western anchor breaches holding elements pulled back on day 3. The Eastern Vector's assault pressure dissolved on day 5, when Kasim reported the demon force receiving withdrawal orders from 3 separate command authorities that contradicted each other. The Birin Eastern Quarter's contested elements held position on day 6 and began withdrawing on day 7, when the supply interdiction Kael had applied during the gamble was reinforced by peace faction political pressure on the logistics coordinators Vethera had been using. The 2 prisoners from Arc 5 walked through the border seal on day 4, with Aldous translating the formal release statement. They did not thank anyone, thanks were not in the protocol, but one of them looked back once at the frontier garrison's southern wall, with an expression Kael filed as, "This was not what I was told would happen." By day 10, the southern pooled data showed no assault signatures. Probing patterns resumed, the ordinary rhythm of a frontier that was not at peace, but was not at war. The central relay held. Kasim's casualties stabilized. The Harith Sultanate's northern garrison began the slow work of rebuilding what 40% losses had taken. Kael wrote in the private document on day 10, Southern Front closed. Not peace. Ceasefire. The distinction matters for the reconvening. Seraphine left for the capital on day 8. Not because the implementation was complete. The last demon elements were still moving on day 8, and pooled data required verification through day 12 before he would call it sealed. because the Noble Council reconvening was in 2 days and the presentation required her physical presence. And because the Southern ceasefire in the record changed the argument from the frontier is collapsing to the frontier demonstrated that managed stability is achievable under pressure. She took the reconvening packet, the pavilion agreement copy, the commission extension filing confirmation, the founding charter's internal governance clause, the Demon Emperor assassination evidence packet, and the church distinction framing she had been building for 3 years. She did not take Kael. He could not go. The implementation required his eye on the pooled data through day 12. The Northern Monitoring Force at Ashenvale still required political counterweight through Halvor's channel. Gareth required. He did not finish the thought. Gareth was in the infirmary, reviewing Southern disposition maps with the specific attention of a man who could no longer fight but had not stopped being useful. At the gate, Seraphine said, "Davin Crest will challenge the Charter Authority." He said, "Yes." She said, "The ceasefire agreement is entered in the compact record." Bear has the copy. The founding charter's guiding council clause is the load-bearing evidence. He said, "Yes." She said, "The distinction between the church's services and the order's infiltration, that is mine to hold in the room." He said, "Yes." She said, "You'll be here when the session ends." He said, "Yes." She said, "Within eye range." He said, 2,000 meters covers the Capital Dispatch rider's fastest return path. I'll know when the session ends before the courier arrives." She looked at him for a moment, the assessing look, not the unnamed thing from the pavilion. She said, 2 fronts remain." He said, "Yes." She said, "North and internal." He said, "Yes." She said, "The south is closed." He said, "For now." She said, "For now is what we have." She rode north on the Capitol Road with 6 honor guard and a document case that contained 9 years of work. He watched until the road bent. The southern pooled data on day 10 was clean. The northern front was still holding its ceasefire. The internal front was waiting in the Capitol for her to open it. He returned to the command post and continued verifying the withdrawal. Arc 6 was not closed yet. It was closer. Day 11's pooled data was the confirmation he had been waiting for since the pavilion signatures. No assault signatures. Probing patterns only, the ordinary frontier rhythm that meant the border seal was holding and demon forces were not committed to breach. Kasim's liaison report, Eastern Garrison rebuilding, casualty stabilization complete, Harith Sultanate formally acknowledging the ceasefire as a diplomatic fact through its own administrative channels. Veth's Koval packet, peace faction opposition to Vethera's remaining elements holding through Demon Council fragmentation, withdrawal of Ash domain units from the Birin Eastern Quarter completed on day 9. He wrote the formal verification entry in the compact record. Seraphine had already left for the capital on day 8. He had not seen her off a second time. The gate departure had been enough. The document case. The 6 honor guard. The road bending north. Gareth read the verification entry in the infirmary. He said, "Closed." Kael said, "Ceasefire. Not peace." Gareth said, "I know the difference." He paused. "I also know what it cost the order. They built the southern assault to justify the northern monitoring force. You closed the south before they could use the collapse." Kael said, "She closed the south." Gareth said, "You held the eye for 11 hours." Kael said nothing. Gareth said, "I know what that costs too." He rolled the map. 2 fronts remain. Kael said, "Yes." The southern corridor held its probing rhythm. The capital waited. The north waited. Arc 6 was not closed yet. It was closer. Day 12's pooled data was clean. The compact lords noticed. Aldenvane, Brennan, Ketterly. The responses arrived in a cluster that meant the coalition understood what the southern closure meant for the reconvening. Arc 6 closed on verification. 2 fronts remained. He watched Seraphine's road until the dust settled, then returned to the implementation schedule. Day 4 prisoner release. Day 6 Birin quarter verification. Day 8 capital departure. Day 10 formal closure. Each day had a number. Each number had a verification source. The south was closing the way the south closed, messily, then completely, then in the record. He worked the numbers until nightfall. The prisoners walked through the seal on day 4. Aldous translated the release statement. Veth's Kael packet confirmed receipt. The honor guard returned without casualty. On day 6, the Barin Eastern Quarter showed no demon signatures. On day 8, Seraphine left for the capital with a reconvening packet and the pavilion agreement copy. On day 10, he wrote the formal closure entry. On day 12, he confirmed it. The south was closed. 2 fronts remained. He began preparing for both. The reconvening would need the southern closure in the record before Seraphine walked into the annex. The north would need Halvar's monitoring reports when the order reassessed. The internal front would need the founding charter clause and the commission extension and 3 years of church suspicion finally spoken aloud in a room that could not pretend it had not heard. He had built toward this since the storage room. He was not finished. Arc 6 was. The north would still need him when the hero dispatch arrived. The internal front would still need her when the 60-day clock ran. Parallel had always been the method. He worked until midnight. The southern front closed on September 28th. Kael marked it in the private document with a specific notation he used for confirmed facts: date, source thread, confidence grade, dependency implications. Source: pool data, 12 consecutive days without assault signature. Confidence: high. Dependency: reconvening argument, northern political trap failure, contingency sequence overlay revision. 2 fronts remained. He wrote that sentence and sat with it. North, the Iron-mark ceasefire, holding but fragile. The Royal Army Monitoring Force at Ashen Vale, 4,000, order-affiliated commander, repositioned to justify occupation the moment the southern front collapsed. The southern front had not collapsed. The monitoring force had not advanced. Halvar's latest dispatch: they're waiting for a different justification. Internal: the order's control of King Aldrich II's court, the Church's guiding council authority, the Noble Council infiltration, the 50-step plan's Tier 1 intelligence accumulation still incomplete on the 40% appointment gap. Seraphine at the capital for the reconvening. The presentation that would open the internal front in the formal record rather than in the intelligence architecture alone. The war was now 2 fronts. He could win the northern front militarily, Diamond Aura, the Compact's experienced force, the Sovereign's Eye's combat intelligence advantage, Halvar as a genuine regional commander who was not order compromised. The arc summaries in his memory from Ethan's novel had not described this war correctly, but the military geometry was clear. Ironmark could be held, pushed back, negotiated with from strength. The internal front could not be won militarily. It required politics. And Seraphine. Gareth came to the main table at the 6th hour with the southern disposition map rolled under his arm. He spread it. The relay held. The Barin Eastern Quarter was empty of demon elements. The western anchor breach was sealed again. Commission maintenance team had used the ceasefire window to complete repairs the February team had started. The probing patterns were ordinary. Gareth said, "You closed the south." Kael said, "She closed the south." I held the eye. Gareth said, "Same thing." He looked at the map. The north. Kael said, "Waiting." Gareth said, "The capital." Kael said, "Reconvening tomorrow." Gareth was quiet. 2 fronts. Kael said, "Yes." Gareth said, "When I came to this barony 9 years ago, the problem was a fractured core and a debt ledger." He looked at his hands, the hands that had held a diamond extension for 41 minutes and would never hold one again. Now it's a continental ecology and 2 wars. Kael said, "Yes." Gareth said, "You chose the right problems to solve first." Kael said, "The South would have broken the North. The order designed for that." Gareth said, "I know." He rolled the map. "I'll be in the infirmary when the reconvening news comes. Send the courier directly. I don't want second hand." Kael said, "Yes." The dispatch from the capital arrived on September 29th, before the reconvening session's formal close. Torrens' correspondent, not Seraphine, she would send her own when the session ended. The correspondent's message was 3 lines. Session opened. She presented. The room is listening in the way that means they cannot yet decide if they believe her. Crest challenged the charter authority within the first hour. Vare entered the commission extension into the formal record. The founding charter's internal governance clause is now in the Noble Council's documentary record. This is not victory. This is the beginning of the internal front. More when the session closes. Kael read it twice. He wrote to Halvar, Southern Front closed. Reconvening in progress. Monitoring force justification weakened, hold position. He wrote to Kaelin through the Wartime Advisory Council channel, reconvening active. Founding charter clause and record. Advisory Council filing remains load-bearing. He did not write to Seraphine. She was in the room. She would send when she could. The southern corridor held its ordinary probing rhythm. 2 fronts remained. He had closed one. The other 2 would take longer than 10 days. He returned to the appointment mapping, the 40% gap, the cross-border positions, the mechanism question still open in Tier 1's parallel track. Arc 6 was closing. Arc 7 was waiting in the north, in the capital, in the figure of a hero who should have stood down and had not. He worked. The fire from the year 11 evening when he had allowed himself one pause was not repeated. There was no pause available. 2 fronts. He had been building for 9 years to fight them. He was ready to fight them. Not completely. Not finally. Enough to begin. That had always been the standard. On October 1st, Seraphine's second letter arrived, written from the Commission safehouse, sent through Vare's priority channel. Session continues tomorrow. Crest is effective. He is not wrong that we lack complete appointment documentation. He is wrong that lack of completeness means the founding charter clause should not be in the record. I am making that argument repeatedly. The 3 framed members are listening. One asked me after today's session whether the guiding council's authority extends to hospital appointment decisions. I said, if the governance clause is accurate, it extends to all senior appointments including those affecting service institutions. He said, that would mean the order controls who runs the hospitals. I said, that would mean we need to distinguish who runs the hospitals from who appoints them. He wrote something down. Parallel. Kael read it twice. He wrote to Torrens' correspondent, track Crest's briefing schedule. Document who attends. Do not intervene. He wrote to Halvar, monitoring force status daily. He returned to the appointment mapping. Gareth said, from the infirmary doorway, she's building the next session in this one. Kael said, yes. Gareth said, good. 2 fronts remained. The internal front was being fought in a commission safehouse and a noble council annex by a woman who had ridden to a demon champion 11 days ago and was now making a king's observer sit, still long enough to hear a distinction between hospitals and appointments. The northern front was holding. The hero was waiting. Arc 6 was closing. Arc 7 was waiting. He worked. October 3rd brought Seraphine's return at dusk. He met her at the gate. She said, 3 members. He said, I know. They walked to the command post without discussing the pavilion. Inside, she spread the reconvening record. He spread the southern verification beside it. 2 fronts remained. One had closed. The work continued. On October 4th, the Commission's first legal compliance request appeared in the capital's public filing record, Vare's office, church governance documentation, guiding council appointments. Torrens' correspondent sent the notice within hours. Seraphine said, 60 days starts now. Kael said, yes. Gareth said, Crest will respond. Seraphine said, visible. The internal front had a clock now. 2 fronts remained. Arc 6 was closed. Arc 7 had begun. The northern monitoring force did not advance when the southern closure entered the capital's informal rumor network by day 9. Halvar's dispatch on day 10. They are reassessing. The justification has not arrived. The order's 2-front trap had failed on one side. The other side still waited. Kael filed the dispatch and continued the appointment mapping. 2 fronts remained. That was the geometry Arc 6 left behind. The Iron-Mark ceasefire held. The monitoring force waited. Damien had not yet resumed purification operations. That dispatch would arrive in October and change the geometry again. For now, 2 fronts. North and internal. Seraphine at the capital. Kael at the frontier. Gareth in the infirmary advising maps he could no longer fight on. Enough to close an arc. Not enough to end a war. He returned to the appointment mapping and the contingency sequence overlay and the private document that tracked what Arc 6 had cost, Gareth's core, Birin's eastern quarter, Qasim's casualties, 11 hours on a ridge. The south was closed. The record was opening. The hero was waiting. October 8th would bring Halvor's Damien dispatch. October 6th would bring Seraphine home. Arc 6 closed on a southern ceasefire and an internal front opened in the record. Arc 7 would open on a hero who would not stop. 2 fronts remained. That was enough geometry for one night. He worked until dawn. Seraphine reached the capital on September 27th, one day before the Noble Council reconvening. The city had the specific quality of a place that knew something significant was about to happen and had not yet decided which faction would benefit. The inns near the council annex were full. The courier traffic between the palace and the annex had increased by a factor Kael's correspondent estimated at 3. The Church of Light's regional administrative office had received visitors from the capital hierarchy at hours that did not match pastoral schedules. She did not stay at House Voss's city residence. That address was known, watched, and associated with her Year 11 presentation. Commissioner Vare had arranged a commission safe house in the Eastern Administrative Quarter, which placed her inside the Commission's jurisdictional protection without placing her inside the Crown's hospitality apparatus. She spent the night before the session with the packet. Not reviewing, she had reviewed it for months. Organizing. The presentation sequence, Southern Ceasefire first, not as victory, but as evidence that managed stability was achievable under pressure. The Commission extension and Founding Charter's internal governance clause second, the documentary foundation for the church distinction. The Demon Emperor assassination third, the clearing mechanism operating on both sides of the border seal. The order structure fourth, not the complete appointment mapping, the shape, the ecology, the 78 years of institutional growth under guiding council authority. She did not present the 50-step plan. Kael had been explicit. The plan was operational, not political. Presenting it would reveal the scope of his intelligence capability in ways the reconvening could not protect. At dawn, she dressed in House Voss formal, not royal envoy colors, not mourning, not military. The specific register of a noble council member with standing who had come to present evidence, not to request favor. Commissioner Vare met her at the annex entrance. He said, "Crest has been briefing against the charter authority since yesterday." She said, "I know." He said, "The king's office sent an observer." Not a participant. An observer. She said, "I know." He said, "The session will not produce conviction. You understand that?" She said, "I understand that it will produce a record. Records outlast sessions." He said, "Good." She entered the annex. Kael received the first report at the second hour through Torrens' correspondent. She entered. The room is full. Crest in the opposition bench. 3 of the members you framed are present. 2 of the 3 you did not frame are also present, which is either interest or concern. He was at the command post main table with the pool data verification running and the northern dispatch from Halvar open beside it. Gareth was in the infirmary. He had said he did not want secondhand news. Kael would send the courier when the session's outcome was clear. The capital was 4 days' ride. The sovereigns I did not reach it. He had Seraphine's location only through the network's reports, arriving in intervals, each one a coordinate rather than a presence. He did not like the gap. He filed the dislike and continued the pool data verification. At the 6th hour, the second report, Southern Ceasefire presented. Room reaction, controlled. Crest challenged Charter Authority. She answered with commission case continuity and pool data documentation. Vare entered the extension filing. The founding charter clause read into the record. One of the 3 framed members asked for the guiding council's appointment documentation. She did not have complete documentation. She had the clause and the Birin operational connection. The member said, "Then this is allegation, not proof." She said, "Then enter it as allegation in the formal record, and I will return with proof." Kael read it twice. Allegation in the formal record was not victory. It was the beginning of the internal front. At the 10th hour, the third report, Emperor assassination evidence presented. Source protection maintained no Veth channel disclosure. Room reaction, not controlled. 2 members requested Commission Investigation Authority expansion. Crest argued demon source evidence is inadmissible without diplomatic verification. She argued the Commission's cross-border mandate and the pool data correlation. The session will continue tomorrow. He wrote to Ver through the Frontier Office channel, support the Investigation Authority expansion. Do not overreach beyond the documentary foundation we have. He did not write to Seraphine. She was in the room. She would send when she could. The capital was 4 days away. He held the southern pool data and waited. The internal front had opened. He could not be in the room. He had built the evidence she was carrying. That would have to be enough for today. The second day's reports arrived in 3 intervals. Midday, Crest challenged the demon source evidence. She answered with Commission cross-border mandate and the pool data correlation with the southern assault timing. Ver supported the mandate expansion formally. 2 members who had not been in our framing group asked for the Burin documentation summary. She provided the summary, not the raw decryption. They asked for Commission access to the raw records. Ver said, already in the case file. Evening, Founding Charter Clause read in full. Church distinction framing presented. Room reaction split, not along expected faction lines. One coastal member said, if this is accurate, we have been funding hospitals that the order uses as political cover. She said, you have been funding hospitals. The order uses the appointment mechanism as cover. The hospitals are real. The distinction is load-bearing. Night. Session adjourns. Tomorrow, Emperor assassination evidence and order structure summary. Crest will challenge source protection. Prepare. Kael wrote responses to Ver through the Frontier Office support lines, not strategy. Strategy was Seraphine's in the room. He walked the barony perimeter at the second hour past midnight, not for security, for the cognitive function of movement. The southern pool data was clean. The northern dispatch was quiet. The capital was 4 days away and held a woman he had held in the eye's center for 11 hours. He filed that thought. He returned to the command post. The internal front was being fought without him in the room. He had spent 9 years building the evidence that made the fight possible. That would have to be enough for all 3 days. On the 3rd day, the correspondent sent the closing lines before the formal summary. She said, enter it as allegation and I will return with proof. The room wrote that down. Crest said, frontier political positioning. She said, Southern ceasefire entered in the record. Who positioned whom? The King's Observer has not spoken. He has written extensively in a private notebook. Torrens contact cannot read it. He can note that it exists. Kael read each line twice. He did not write to Seraphine. She was in the room. He held the southern pool data and the northern quiet and the 4-day gap between himself and the capital. The internal front was being fought by someone who had learned, over 3 years at the frontier, to hold a room the way he held a battlefield, completely, without performance, with the evidence placed where it would do the most work. He had built the evidence. She was placing it. That would have to be enough for all 3 days. He slept 4 hours and returned to the pool data at dawn. The southern verification would confirm on day 12. The capital was fighting its fight. The frontier would hold its numbers. Parallel. When Seraphine's formal summary arrived after the session close, he read it in the command post with Gareth beside him, infirmary permission, walking stick, the map unused in his hands. The load-bearing evidence was in the record. The gap was documented. The 60 days had started. Arc 6 was closed. Arc 7 was the hero, and the hero was already moving in the north. He filed the summary and returned to the pool data. Day 12 would confirm the south. The capital had opened the internal front. 2 wars remained where 3 had been. He worked until the southern verification confirmed on day 12. Then he began preparing for what the hero would require. The internal front was in the record. The northern front was waiting. Arc 7 had already begun. The reconvening lasted 3 days. Seraphine presented on the first day and answered on the second, and held the distinction on the third. The church's services from the order's infiltration, the guiding council's authority from the church's mission, the clearing mechanism from the restoration's stated goal. She did not argue that the church was evil. She argued that the church's senior governance had been constructed as an order instrument, and that the hospitals and schools and famine relief networks were real and must be protected while the guiding council's appointment mechanism was surgically dismantled. Davin Crest challenged every sentence. He was good at it, not because he was order-affiliated, which Kael's intelligence had not confirmed, but because he was a man whose political interests aligned with the Crown's emergency authority framework and who understood that Seraphine's presentation threatened that framework by offering an alternative, demonstrated stability. Commission accountability, Wartime Advisory Council command continuity, Southern ceasefire achieved without Crown military intervention. Crest said, on the second day, Lady Voss presents us with a demon negotiation conducted under a frontier baron's emergency charter interpretation, a church governance allegation without complete appointment documentation, and an assassination report sourced through channels she declines to name. This is not evidence. This is a political campaign. Seraphine said, Lord Crest, I present you with a southern ceasefire that closed a 3-vector border seal assault without Royal Army deployment. I present you with a founding charter's internal governance clause that names a guiding council with authority over senior church appointments. I present you with a commission case that documents order operational coordination across frontier barony sabotage, northern supply contracts, and church assessment official movement patterns. You may call it a campaign. Enter it in the record as a campaign. The facts will remain in the record after the session closes. The room was quiet in the way that meant she had found the sentence that would not be easily dismissed. On the third day, the session produced a record. Not a conviction. Not an emergency powers revocation. Not a church governance restructuring order. A record. The Noble Council formally acknowledged the Commission's extension filing into the church governance structure investigation. The founding charter's internal governance clause was entered as documentary evidence pending verification. The Southern Ceasefire Agreement was entered as a compact diplomatic fact with Commission notation. The Demon Emperor assassination was referred to the Commission's Cross-Border Investigation Authority with a 60-day reporting deadline. 3 members, including 2 Seraphine had framed in August, publicly associated themselves with the position that the Church's services and the Order's infiltration must be distinguished in any future institutional action. Davin Crest entered a dissenting opinion that characterized the session as premature allegation in service of frontier political positioning. The King's Observer did not speak. The session closed. Seraphine's letter reached Kael on October 2nd, 4 days after the session's close, via the Commission's Frontier Courier faster than Torrens' correspondent, because she had used Vare's authority to prioritize the dispatch. She wrote, "The record is established. Not victory. The beginning. Crest's dissent is in the record alongside the acknowledgement. The 3 members' public association is in the record. The Commission Investigation Authority expansion is granted 60 days, cross-border, church governance structure included. The founding charter clause is documentary evidence, not proven fact. We will need the appointment mapping before the next session can produce surgical action. I am returning. 4 days. The internal front is open. You were right that it cannot be won militarily. I was right that it can be entered. Parallel." He read it twice. He wrote back, Southern verification complete. 12 days clean. Northern monitoring force unchanged. Gareth asks after you. Safe return. He did not write what he was not examining. He sent the courier. Gareth read the session summary in the infirmary without comment, then said, 3 members. Kael said, yes. Gareth said, not enough. Kael said, no. Gareth said, enough to start. Kael said, yes. The reconvening was over. The record was established. The internal front had begun in the formal architecture of the kingdom's institutions, not only in the intelligence network's hidden threads. That was what 9 years of building had purchased, a beginning. He returned to the appointment mapping. The 40% gap waited. Seraphine rode home. The capital was 4 days behind her. The frontier was ahead. On the 3rd day, Torrens' correspondent sent the closing summary. Investigation Authority expansion, granted, 60 days, cross-border, church governance included. Founding Charter Clause, documentary evidence, pending verification. Southern ceasefire, entered as compact diplomatic fact. Emperor assassination, referred to commission investigation. 3 members publicly associated with church distinction position. Crest dissent entered. King's observer did not speak. Session closed. She is remarkable in rooms. You know this. The room knows it now. Kael read it in the command post at dusk. Gareth read it in the infirmary. He said, "Not victory." Kael said, "No." Gareth said, "Beginning." Kael said, "Yes." The courier to Halvar went out that evening. The courier to Kaelin through the Wartime Advisory Council channel went out that evening. The appointment mapping continued that evening. Seraphine rode home. The reconvening was over. The record was established. The internal front had begun. Seraphine's full report arrived 4 days later, 12 pages, her handwriting, confidence grades on every sourced claim. Kael read it at the main table with the Southern pool data running in the background and the Northern dispatch from Halvar open beside it. The load-bearing sentences, investigation authority granted, founding charter clause in the record, Southern ceasefire entered as diplomatic fact, 3 members publicly associated, crest dissent visible. The gap, appointment documentation incomplete, mechanism questions still open, King's observer's silence unexplained. She wrote at the end, "The internal front is open. The next session will require the mapping. We have 60 days. He wrote back, Southern verification holds. Northern quiet. Damien dispatch from Halvar requires response. Welcome home. Gareth read the 12 pages in the infirmary and said, she held the room. Kael said, yes. Gareth said, you built the evidence she carried. Kael said, we built it. Gareth said, yes. He paused. The hero is next. Kael said, yes. The reconvening was over. The record was established. Arc 6 was closed. Arc 7 had begun. Kael spread the reconvening record against the 50-step plan's Tier 2 timeline and marked the dependencies. Investigation Authority enabled Step 7. 3 Members Association enabled Step 19. Southern Ceasefire enabled Step 17's Eiermark argument. Gareth watched from the infirmary chair. He said, the North will not stay quiet. Kael said, I know. Gareth said, Damien. Kael said, I know. The reconvening was over. The record was established. The hero was waiting. Seraphine's return on October 6th brought the 12-page report and the exhaustion of someone who had won an argument that was not yet a victory. They spread the record and the verification side by side. Gareth said, Arc 6. Kael said, closed. Seraphine said, Arc 7. Kael said, beginning. No one said more. The work continued. October 8th brought Halvar's first Damien dispatch, purification operations, civilian settlements, Solon directing positioning. Kael read it in the command post. Seraphine had not yet returned from the capital. Gareth read it in the infirmary. No one spoke for a long moment. Then Kael said, Arc 7. Gareth said, yes. The reconvening had opened the internal front. Damien was opening the northern one again. 2 fronts remained. A third problem was forming in the figure of a person who should have stood down. When Seraphine returned on October 6th, she read Halvar's dispatch and said, not yet. He said, I know. She said, soon. He said, yes. Arc 6 was closed. Arc 7 was the hero. When Seraphine returned, they spread the reconvening record and the Southern verification and Halvar's Damien dispatch on the same table. 3 documents. 3 fronts, 1 closed. She said, the threshold is moving. He said, I know. Gareth said, the void echo. Kael said, yes. Arc 6 was closed. Arc 7 had begun. What the record held was not victory. Kael understood this the way he understood most things that mattered, by tracing the dependencies forward and seeing what they enabled rather than celebrating what they had produced. The Noble Council's formal record now contained the Commission's extension into the church governance structure, investigation authority granted, 60-day reporting deadline, cross-border mandate confirmed. This meant Commissioner Vare could request guiding council appointment documentation through legal channels that the order could not simply refuse without creating a different kind of record. The founding charter's internal governance clause entered as documentary evidence pending verification. Not proven, but in the record, which meant the next session could not treat the church as a monolithic institution without addressing the clause. The Southern Ceasefire Agreement entered as a compact diplomatic fact. This meant the order's two-front trap had failed on one side in the formal architecture, not only in the military reality. The monitoring force at Ashen Vale had not advanced because the justification had not arrived. The Demon Emperor assassination referred to Commission cross-border investigation. Source protection maintained. Veth's channel not disclosed. 3 Noble Council members publicly associated with the church distinction position. 2 more had not dissented from the investigation authority expansion. Davin Crest's dissenting opinion was in the record, which meant his position was visible and could be counter-framed in the next session. Seraphine returned on October 6th. She arrived at the command post in the evening with the specific exhaustion of someone who had held a room for 3 days and knew the holding was not the same as winning. He said, "The record." She said, "The record." He said, "Enough to start." She said, "Yes." They did not discuss the pavilion. They did not discuss the 11 hours. They did not discuss the moment at the gate when she had said, "For now is what we have." They spread the reconvening record summary on the main table and began the dependency analysis, what the 60-day investigation authority enabled, what the 3 members public association enabled, what the Southern Ceasefire's formal entry enabled for the contingency sequence overlay revision. Gareth joined them at the 9th hour, infirmary permission, walking, the map under his arm. He said, "Crest." Seraphine said, "Dissenting opinion." Visible. Gareth said, "Visible is useful. Visible can be counterframed." Kael said, "Yes." Gareth said, "The appointment mapping." Kael said, 40% gap. 60 days is not enough to complete unless the Commission's investigation authority produces documentation we can't get through the network. Seraphine said, "Theirs office will request the Guiding Council's appointment records through the Church's legal compliance channel. The order cannot refuse without creating a record of refusal. Refusal is also useful." Kael said, "Yes." They worked until midnight. The record held what it held. It did not hold victory. It held the beginning of the internal front in the kingdom's formal architecture, the place where 9 years of intelligence work could finally interface with the institutions the order had spent 78 years building. That was enough. For now, that had always been the standard. On October 7th, Commissioner Vare's office sent the formal investigation schedule, 60 days, cross-border, church governance structure, Guiding Council appointment documentation requests filed through legal compliance channels. The order could refuse. Refusal would create a record of refusal. Refusal was also useful. Seraphine and Kael spread the schedule against the 50-step plan's Tier 1 timeline. Gap analysis. The Commission's legal requests might produce documentation the network could not obtain covertly. Might not. The 40% unknown appointments included cross-border positions the Barin records referenced, but the Commission files did not name. Kael said, 60 days is not enough to complete the mapping. Seraphine said, 60 days is enough to begin surgical planning. We don't move on partial. We plan on complete. He said, yes. She said, the 3 members who associated publicly, I need follow-up correspondence within the week. Not pressure. Information. He said, I'll have Torrens correspondent prepare the briefing summaries. She said, crust. He said, visible dissent. Counterframe in the next session. She said, yes. They worked until the evening meal. Gareth joined them. He ate slowly, the healer's restriction, not preference. He listened to the investigation schedule without comment. He said, the North. Kael said, quiet. Gareth said, for now. Kael said, yes. The record held what it held. The next session would require more than the record. The appointment mapping would require more than 60 days. For now, the beginning was enough. On October 9th, Vare's office sent the first legal compliance request to the Church's governing hierarchy, Guiding Council appointment documentation for senior positions in Baldris territory, last 20 years. The request was formal, public, and entered in the Commission record. Refusal would be visible. Compliance would be useful. Partial compliance would be most likely and most revealing about which positions the order would protect and which it would sacrifice. Seraphine said, "We watch what they withhold." Kael said, "Yes." She said, "The 3 members need briefing within the week." He said, "Torrens correspondent is preparing summaries." She said, "Crest will brief against us." He said, "Visible dissent. Counterframe next session." She said, "Parallel." He said, "Yes." The record held what it held. The 60 days had begun. Kael cross-referenced the 3 members' public association with the framing letters from August, the same distinction language, now echoed in the formal record by people who had not been told what to say, only what to think about. That was the difference between pressure and framing. Pressure produced compliance. Framing produced independent conclusion. Seraphine had framed. The room had concluded. The appointment mapping continued in parallel, 40% gap, cross-border positions, mechanism infrastructure candidates from the Harith Hospital analysis. For now, the beginning was enough. On October 11th, the church's legal compliance office requested a 30-day extension to compile senior appointment records. Seraphine said, "Stalling." Kael said, "Enter it in the record." She said, "Parallel network work." He said, "Yes." The 60 days had begun. The order had begun its response. Kael spent the afternoon on the network parallel track, Torrens correspondent tasked with cross-border appointment documentation, Bear's legal channel running its 30-day clock. The Birin records cross-referenced against the church compliance requests known gaps. Seraphine drafted the 3 members' follow-up correspondence. Gareth reviewed the Tier 3 surgical targets from the infirmary and said, "You cannot cut until you know which is hospital and which is mechanism." Kael said, "Yes." The record held what it held. The mapping continued. For now, the beginning was enough. 60 days to turn allegation into proof. 30 days before the church's first compliance response was due. Parallel network work in the gap. The internal front had a clock. The hero had already started his. She said, "We have work." He said, "Yes." The record held what it held. The beginning was enough for now. On October 12th, Torrens correspondent reported Crest briefing 3 Noble Council members against the Investigation Authority expansion, visible, documented, useful for counter-framing. Seraphine read the report and said, "Expected." Kael said, "Yes." She said, "The 3 who associated publicly did not attend Crest's briefing." He said, "Good." She said, "The beginning holds." He said, "Yes." The 60 days continued. The mapping continued. Parallel. 60 days to turn allegation into proof. 30 days before the church's first compliance response. The hero's purification operations in the north would not wait for either clock. Kael said, "We work faster." Seraphine said, "Yes." For now, the beginning was enough. The record held what it held, Investigation Authority, Founding Charter Clause, Southern Ceasefire, Emperor Assassination Referral, 3 members Public Association, Crest's visible dissent. Not victory. The architecture for victory. Gareth said from the infirmary doorway, "The North won't wait for the architecture." Kael said, "I know." They returned to the work. The clocks were running. The hero was moving. Arc 6 was closed. Arc 7 was the hero, and the hero would not wait for the Commission's 60 days or the Church's 30. Kael returned to the Damien file. Seraphine returned to the 3 members' correspondence. Parallel. The beginning was enough for now. The Northern Dispatch arrived on October 8th and changed the geometry again. Halver's report was not about the Ironmark. The Ironmark ceasefire held. The Northern Corridor remained demilitarized. The report was about Damien Cross. The hero's contingent has resumed advance operations in Ironmark territory despite the ceasefire framework. 3 civilian settlements in the northwestern border region report church-managed purification operations, the church representative's term. The reports describe something else. Damien is present at each operation. The church liaison Solon directs positioning. The Royal Army Monitoring Force out of Shenvale has not moved to intervene. Kael read it at the main table. Seraphine was beside him. She had been reviewing the commission's 60-day investigation schedule when the courier arrived. She read over his shoulder. She said, "The south closed. The north opens." He said, "Not the north. The hero." She said, "The order's asset. Still operating. Still directed." He said, "Yes." Gareth came from the infirmary corridor. He read the dispatch without being asked. He said, "Purification." Kael said, "The euphemism doesn't cover what the reports describe." Gareth said, "No." He sat down. "The anchor." Kael said, "Sullen. Steering, not overriding. Damien thinks he's making the right decisions." Gareth said, "The settlements." Kael said, "Tools." The order destabilizes Ironmark's civilian structure. Creates disruption the Empire cannot effectively oppose. Clearing mechanism on the northern front now that the southern front failed. Seraphine said, "The reconvening record doesn't cover this." Kael said, "No." She said, "The Commission Investigation Authority is cross-border. Ironmark civilian casualties in church-managed operations." He said, "May fall within the mandate if we can document the order's coordination. The Burin records. The Solon background. The anchor structure I confirmed in July." She said, 60 days. He said, "We don't have 60 days for the northern civilian settlements." The room was quiet. 2 fronts remained that had been true since September 28th. But the northern front's character had shifted. The Ironmark War was functionally won. The Empire had requested ceasefire negotiations after Shenvale, after the Diamond Breakthrough, after the Frontier Auxiliary demonstrated it could hold. Damien Cross should have stood down. He had not. He was advancing into Ironmark territory with church backing, attacking civilian settlements, serving the Order's clearing mechanism in the one theater where military victory had already been achieved. The internal front, the reconvening record, the commission investigation, the church distinction, could not address this. The internal front was politics. Damien was a weapon. Gareth said, "You met him." Kael said, "4 years ago. Academy assessment. 20 years old. The wrongness in his aura, not a weapon's wrongness. A person's wrongness." Gareth said, "The anchor." Kael said, 2 layers. Church blessing. Order overlay. He doesn't know either. Seraphine said, "Can he be stopped?" Kael said, "Not militarily alone. He's saint equivalent with anchor amplification. Halvar's force can engage him directly. The compact could, at cost." He paused. "And he's a victim. The order made him. Killing the weapon kills the person." She said, "At some threshold." He said, "I know." She did not finish the sentence. She did not need to. They had argued enough versions of this problem to know where the disagreement lived. She believed in managing threats to prevent greater harm. He believed in finding the version where the victim was not sacrificed to solve the victimizer's damage. They had not resolved it. They would have to. He wrote in the private document, Arc 6 closed. Southern Front, ceasefire. Internal Front, record established. Northern Front, Ironmark held, Damien uncontrolled. The next problem is the hero. He looked at the dispatch. Damien Cross was 20 years old. He had wanted to be good. Someone had given him a version of goodness that served someone else's agenda. The Order had removed the Demon Emperor to create chaos in the south. Damien was creating chaos in the north because the anchor had not released him when the war ended. 2 fronts remained. A third problem was forming in the figure of a person who should have been a symbol and had become a guided weapon. Kael folded the dispatch. He said, "I'll need to see him again." Seraphine said, "How?" He said, "I don't know yet." Gareth said, "The void echo." Kael said, "Yes." He did not say more. The southern corridor held its probing rhythm. The capital's record held its beginning. The north held a hero who would not stop. He returned to the work. Arc 6 was closed. Arc 7 had already begun. He spent the evening after the dispatch with the Damien file, 4 years of accumulated observation since the Academy assessment, the July coordination meeting's void echo findings, Solon's background, the anchor structure's 2 layers. Church blessing, genuine, amplifying, designed with incomplete channels. Order overlay, The keys, the steering mechanism, the thing that made Damien's positioning feel like his own conviction. He wrote in the private document, "The hero problem is not military. It is architectural. Removing the weapon without killing the person requires understanding the architecture completely." Seraphine said, "You're already building the argument I haven't agreed to." He said, "I'm building the argument I haven't finished agreeing with myself." She said, "The threshold." He said, "I know." She said, "If the purification operations continue." He said, "I know." She did not push. She had learned over 3 years when pushing produced argument and when it produced only distance. Gareth said, "The void echo recorded the anchor structure. Recording is not removal." Kael said, "No. But it's a start." The southern corridor held its probing rhythm. The capital's record held its beginning. The north held a hero who would not stop. Arc 6 was closed, southern ceasefire, internal front opened, 2 fronts named. Arc 7 was the hero. He returned to the file. The person inside the weapon was 20 years old and had said, in a leaked report Kael had not yet received, something that would matter when it arrived. "I didn't want that to happen." He did not know that yet. He knew enough to begin. That had always been the standard. He sent Halvar a response that evening, acknowledged. Document all purification operation reports through regional command chain. Do not engage Damien's contingent directly. Forward civilian casualty accounts to Commission Frontier Office under cross-border mandate. He sent Fair the same accounts when they arrived 2 days later, redacted for source protection, sufficient for investigation authority. Seraphine read the casualty accounts without expression. She said, "The threshold." He said, "Not yet." She said, "How many settlements?" He said, 3 reported. "More will come." She was quiet. She said, "The void echo." He said, "Recording is not removal. Removal on a living saint equivalent core has never been tested." She said, "You'll try anyway." He said, "Yes." She said, "I'll prepare the political cover for when you need it." He said, "Yes." Gareth said, "The person inside the weapon." Kael said, "I know." Arc 6 was closed. Arc 7 was the hero. He returned to the Damien file and began the architecture analysis. The southern corridor held its probing rhythm. The north held a 20-year-old who had wanted to be good. He worked. The casualty accounts from Halvar arrived on October 10th, 3 settlements, civilian deaths, church euphemism in the official reports, plain language in the regional commander's private addendum. Kael entered them in the commission packet and the private document and the Damien file's architecture section. Seraphine read them once. She said, "Not yet." He said, "I know." She said, "Soon." He said, "Yes." The southern corridor held its probing rhythm. The north held a hero who would not stop. Arc 7 had begun. He wrote the Damien problem's first architecture note at the 2nd hour past midnight. 2 layers. Church blessing genuine. Order overlay holds keys. Removal of overlay may leave blessing intact unknown. Removal of both risks core destruction. Victim is inside the structure. Weapon is the structure. Solution must be surgical or the person dies with the weapon. He closed the notebook. Seraphine was asleep in the study. She had chosen the study over the main hall again, the configuration they maintained without discussing. The southern pool data was clean. The north was not. He returned to the file.